All right, so today is Wednesday, the 3rd of December, 2025. We're having our webinar on support and resistance, the practical of this particular topic. The theoretical part was taken on Monday, and we're having the practical session this afternoon. I want to welcome everybody on board. Good afternoon, Mr. Abdul Aliyu, Frank Benga Fadero. Mr. Godfrey Olo, it's been a long time, sir. Good to see you here. And Matthew Oyafewe. Pardon me if I didn't pronounce that too well. Okay. All right, so let's get started. All others will join us along the way. It's already 4:07 p.m. So let's start. So in the training on Monday, we were taught the concept of support and resistance. Generally when price moves in the bullish direction, this is purely a practical session. So I'll be showing the raw chart, on Mondays or slides, but now we'll be looking directly at the charts. So resistance means that when price is moving in an uptrend, and price gets to a point where it becomes overbought. That is that bought it's been buying to a level that it will no longer buy. For example, if you throw a ball into the sky, I mean, if you throw it up, it gets to a point where it stops going upward, and within a split second, it reverses and starts dropping downwards. That's what we're trying to talk about. Price gets to a high point where it becomes overbought. It means it has bought so high that it will not buy above that level anymore. But rather, instead of buying, it will reverse and start selling. For example, a couple of years back, our exchange rate in Nigeria hit 2,000 naira per dollar. That was the highest price level we've ever had with our exchange rate. And immediately got to that point, there was inflation. Everywhere was almost in flames. Then the central bank brought intervention. And shortly, within a matter of 2 weeks, it crashed from 2,000 naira per dollar to 1,100. That new high level can be taken as a resistance level, which is 2,000 naira per dollar. Now, if for any reason price goes back to that 2,000 naira per dollar, then we're going to expect a reversal in price. Don't forget when we talk about forex trading, what we're trading is the change it is the fluctuation of the exchange rate of the currencies of different countries. So it's applicable even to our situation right here in Nigeria. So when we're talking about resistance, this is what we're saying. Price gets to an overbought level. It's an uptrend, an extended uptrend. It gets to an overbought level. Then later on, price goes back to the previous high level and did not break above it. Again, the third time, price goes back. Now, from the second time that price goes back to that previous high, we're expecting a reversal downwards. That's why at a resistance level, we expect price to reverse from buying to selling. So at a resistance level, we're looking for opportunity to sell. Then any other time price goes back to that same level and does not break above it, we still expect rather price to crash downwards. But I'll show you a neat way we do this. We can use a horizontal line tool. So if this is our first reference point, the first high, the next time price got to this high level and did not break above it. What do I mean by breaking above? It means if a new candle opens above this level, there's a tendency for price to continue going higher. Then we'll say in that instance that resistance level has been invalidated. It's no longer valid. But then price got to that level and did not break above it. Then it becomes a resistance level. And the next thing is we are looking for an opportunity to sell. Now, take note, I did not say place a sell trade because now we're looking at support and resistance from the higher time frame perspective. Entry is another thing entirely, which we can do on a lower time frame because what we're doing is called multiple time frame analysis, where we'll look for direction on the higher time frame, then we'll now look for entry on a lower time frame. But for now, the focus is getting direction on the higher time frame, which we do on either the daily or the weekly time frame. So at another time, price gets to that high level again. You can check here, you see, it's the same level, and a new candle did not break above it. So we look for opportunity to sell for the third time. Now, January this year, 2025, I gave my analysis for the USD CHF, and I told this video is online, it's on our YouTube channel. If you need it, I can find the link I sent to you. I gave my outlook for the USD CHF for at least the first 6 months of the year, and I said I was bearish on the USD CHF. Now, what did I see that gave me that confidence that USD CHF was going to sell? Because at the beginning of the year in January, price was at this previous resistance level, still the same level. And if you check using the vertical line too, this was January 26th, price started selling. So at resistance level, we're looking for an opportunity to sell any financial asset. Now, the beauty of this is that it works across board. It works for currencies, it works for stocks, it works for indices, it also works for cryptocurrency. Any financial asset, as long as it is this chart we're looking at, it works. So at resistance, we're looking to sell. Now, at support level, it means price has been oversold to such a level that it has dropped so low so that instead of selling lower, we expect it to reverse and start buying. So in this instance now, we have a low, and the next time price got to that same low, what happened? We saw a reversal to the upside. Now, there's something you need to note about support and resistance. You need price to touch the same level 2 times to establish a resistance, meaning from the second time price touches the same previous high, we expect a sell. And the same thing also for a support. By the time price is touching the same level the second time, you're expecting a reversal to the upside. Now, this is how we can identify support and resistance. Now, it does not mean in a single chart you will have support and resistance like this. This is a peculiar case. It's a peculiar case. Now, there's also another thing about support and resistance, and that's the fact that in some instances, price can break out above a resistance. Price can break out and make a new high, or price can break out a support to a new low. Like it happened here, you must have heard of a case called resistance can turn to support and support can turn to resistance. Like in this case now, price dropped so much that it broke the support. But then there's also a technical principle around this. When price breaks a new support, it will retest the previous support. Now that previous support now becomes a resistance from where we now expect the market to sell again. And that is what played out in this particular chart here. Support turned resistance, and we had a bearish continuation. All right, I'll look at other charts to explain all these principles. Okay, I'll check the AUD/USD. Now, one of the things you can do for yourself as a trader is to be able to interpret the chart. If you can interpret the chart, you discover that forex trading is not so complicated. And support and resistance is one of the basic things you need to know in technical analysis. Look at this chart here now. This is support. From the second point, you can see price made its way up. The third time, it made its way up. The fourth time, price made its way up. So support and resistance can help you generate a trading signal. People always ask that question, how do we buy? How do we sell? The simplest way is to identify support and resistance, and from there you go to a lower time frame, because all I'm showing you now is on daily. You can now go to a lower time frame and look for a proper entry, but at least we're getting direction from the higher time frame, which is the daily time frame. Now, this is what is happening presently to the AUD/USD. Price is back to a resistance level again, meaning we're looking for a sell on AUD/USD. Will it happen today? Well, I don't know. The day is almost as good as over, but at least maybe from tomorrow, we may start looking for opportunities to sell the AUD/USD. Let's check out another one. Euro AUD. All right, this is Euro AUD, and we can see there was a resistance here. Price touched the second time and see the massive crash. Now, I think it's better for us to get a clearer view by identifying the number of pips in movement. When price hit the resistance the second time, what happened? There was a drop to the tune of 407 pips. 407 pips from this candle downwards. That's a whole lot. 407 pips with 0.1 lot is $407. Now, $407, let's quickly do a little calculation. I'm not sure of the exchange rate today, but let's just use a blank rate. Let's say 1,470 times 407. That's about 598,000 naira. I don't know if you can see that on my screen. It's not looking too sharp. That's over 500,000 naira just by understanding support and resistance. Now look at the price touching this same level the second time here, and there was a bounce to the upside. Here you can see price going as far as 500 pips. So if 400 pips can give over 500,000, about 600,000, 500 pips will give us close to about 700,000 naira on a 0.1 lot. Take note, it depends on the account size, 0.1 lot. Now imagine if you're trading this with one standard lot. The bigger the equity, the bigger the profit. The same thing here, we can see, we've seen the resistance, we've seen the support. Like I said, support and resistance, they are established when price touches the same level the second time. From the second touch, you can look for opportunity for reversal. Let's check out another one again. GBP AUT. Now you can see here now, price touching the same level first time, second time, and see reversal, third time. It means that any other time price touches that level, we are going to be looking for direction. We're going to be looking for trades in that bearish direction. Every time price touches that previous high level, which is the resistance. Now, it should be noted that support and resistance, the higher the time frame, the stronger the level of support and resistance. Meaning the weekly time frame, let's start from the monthly. It means that on the MetaTrader platform, the highest time frame is the monthly time frame. So it's the strongest, followed by the weekly time frame, followed by the daily time frame. Then we have the 4 hour, the 1 hour. Does it mean support and resistance don't work on smaller time frames? Well, I would say don't go below 1 hour. 1 hour, you can still try it, but anything below 1 hour, just ignore it. But if you are doing day trading, your best bet for support and resistance is the daily time frame. While you can use a smaller time frame like 1 hour time frame, to make your entry. Now, in these examples I've showed us now, we have looked at support and resistance, basically as either vertical, that's on the horizontal level, yeah, as horizontal lines. Let me just show you one more, which is a support before we move on. That's the US oil. Now look at the US oil. You can see a clear-cut support, and price hit the first low. The second time, there was a reversal. The third time, there was also a reversal. So here in this example, support and resistance have been seen as horizontals. But then there are some other instances where support and resistance is not on the horizontal line. It is more by what is called a trend line. Now, what is a trend line? A trend line is a line showing us the direction of the market. There are three types of trend. There's uptrend, there's downtrend, there's sideways trend. I'll show you the first example, which is Euro USD. All right. For example, now this is Euro USD on the daily time frame. In this example, the overall trend here is bullish. In an uptrend, price makes a series of higher highs and higher low. So this is a higher low, a higher low, a higher low. So what we do is that we use a trend line tool. How do you get your trend line tool? You come to your MetaTrader platform. This line that is slanting up there, the one I just circled, is called the trend line tool. This is the trend line tool. So we use that line, trend line tool, to connect the higher lows in this example. So when we connect the higher lows, this is what happens. For the higher low in an uptrend, the higher low is actually serving as a support. It's serving as a support, and that is what is pointing price into the bullish direction. And normally when we have a support, it means we're looking for opportunity to buy. So if price touches the higher low the third time, now don't forget, in resistance, I said price touches a high level twice, we have a resistance established. If it is a trend line, it is the third touch. It's the third touch that confirms the trend. Like here now, price, we have the first higher low, the second one, and the third one. But all of them are valid supports. They are support zones from where price can continue. Now, this is a continuation because what we're looking at is a bounce of the trend line, not a break. A bounce into the overall direction. So that means that from this point here, we can look for an opportunity to buy to the upside. So support and resistance can also be identified by the usage of trend lines. Look at this other example here also. See the trend line, a higher low. These are all support zones from where we can look for an opportunity to buy at the third touch. This particular example here now generates as much as about 358 pips. And don't forget that is because we're looking at the daily time frame. If it's a lower time frame, it may not be as much as that. All right, let's check USD card. Now look at USD card. Here we have price moving in a downtrend. In a downtrend, the lower high becomes resistance levels. Resistance. Now, if you join my analysis at the beginning of the week, I said I was bearish on the USD card. Why did I say I was bearish? Firstly, I saw price hit a resistance. That place I just marked now, the market closed last week with this rejection candle at that resistance level. So technically, I knew this was going to sell. If you watch my video on Monday, today is Wednesday, I gave my outlook for the week. I said I was bearish on the USD card, and it has played out exactly as that. Today is Wednesday. No, this was even last week. Pardon me. This was last week. This analysis was last week. And since that analysis, USD card has dropped to the tune of about 156 pips in the bearish direction, just as analyzed, because of the resistance on the daily time frame. But then we can still see other things to point us into the direction. This is higher high. From the higher high, which is resistance, we can see price dropping into a sell here. Another higher high, price dropping to a sell. Another higher high, price dropping to a sell. Those are resistance levels. A lower high here, a lower high, a third one, price leading to a buy. I hope you are following all these things. This is how we decode the market. Going on the higher time frame to get clarity of where price is expected to go. Then we'll come to the lower time frame and we look for entry, and it works. Okay, let's check Euro NZD. Now look at this Euro NZD. We have the trend line tool connecting the higher high, which are all resistance level. From the third touch, what happens? Price crashes. The fourth time, a slight bearish movement. Again here, a bigger bearish movement. Higher low, higher low. From the third touch, what happened? A bounce to the upside. So like I said, support and resistance can either be horizontals or a trend line. And both of them works, and they are very, very valid. I'll check the GBP NZD. All right, so this GBP NZD, we have a valid support. Don't forget, for horizontal support from the second touch, we look at buying upwards. The third time, buying upwards. The fourth time, buying upwards. For resistance, from the second touch, we look at selling downwards. Then we can see from the trend line, higher low, which is a support, higher low. From the third support, what happened? Price goes to the upside. Now, the interesting thing about this particular setup is that this one happened today. So let's see. This trend line, price touches the trend line the first time, second time. This is today's daily candle on GBP NZD. Now, let me show you the entry for this one now. Now, we've identified direction on the daily time frame. We can go as low to the lower time frame, like 1 hour. So what do you do on 1 hour time frame? We draw a trend line, because we are capturing a breakout. And we can draw a second one to the back, even though that is not really compulsory. But if it is, if you can draw it, fine. Now you can see price broke out. What time? This happened 11 hours today. 11 hours should be like 7 or 8. No, that's 8 a.m. this morning. Yeah, about between 8 and 9 a.m. And price has gone up to the tune of 102 pips, just like that, on the GBP NZD today. So it's clear that with this, you can actually generate your signals all by yourself by using the principle of support and resistance and trend line. Just look out for support and resistance on at least on a daily time frame. If weekly time frame is too big for you for now, not a problem. You can start with the daily. Look out for support. At resistance, we're looking for the market to crash into a sell. At support, we're looking for the market to crash into a buy. Now, the mistake some traders make is looking at placing a buy trade around resistance. That is completely wrong. But sometimes some don't know. They just want to place a trade. That's why, regardless of the type of strategy you are using, you must incorporate support and resistance. Because sometimes maybe your strategy is telling you to buy. You need to check, is there a resistance around that region? If your strategy is saying buy and you can see a resistance, then ignore it. Because if you place that buy trade and price hits the resistance, your winning trade will turn to a losing trade. Now, this is responsible for the reason why some people are never profitable in trading. They say, but I place a buy, it turns to a sell. I place a sell, it turns to a buy. Because you are placing your trades, you are placing your buy trade around resistance and your sell trade around support. So your first filter of any signal, even if you ever see any signal anywhere, if there's any filter you need at all, compare that signal to support and resistance. They say enter price at this level, enter Euro USD at 1.1, so and so and so. Go and check that buy. Is it around the resistance? If it's around the resistance, please ignore it. If they say sell at this price and that price level is close to support, ignore it. But if they're saying buy and that buy is around a support level, very, very valid, price will go up. And if you are told to sell and that sell is around resistance level, very, very valid. So your first level filter for any trade, any signal, or any strategy is your support and resistance. Support and resistance. And like I said, check it out on the higher time frame. It is often clearer on the higher time frame compared to the lower time frame. As much as possible, ignore lower time frame like 1 minute, 5 minutes, 15 minutes when it comes to support and resistance. The standard is from 1 hour. What I tell you for day trading, look at your support and resistance on the daily time frame. It's a lot safer for you. All right, that will be the end for this trading session. It's not a long one, it's a very short one. I believe we have questions. Go ahead now to the comment section. You can drop your question, and I'm right here to attend to those questions. So I'm waiting. Question, question, question. Please, sir, can you help me with gold analysis? Okay. Do you need confirmation for support and resistance with RSI? Very good question. Now, if price hits your support or your resistance, now if you are looking for entry, of course, you can now use your RSI to confirm your entry. So let's look at that GBP NZD. We looked at support now as a bounce of the trend line, and I took you down to 1 hour time frame. And I said, you look at price breaking out above the 1 hour trend line. And this is the breakout candle. It's at the close of the candle, we can enter a trade in this example. Then at that point, you discover that, let me use the vertical line too. You discover that at the opening of that candle, RSI is clearly above 50. So if you want to use your RSI, but I don't encourage using only the RSI, it's good to have a setup like I'm showing you now, where price breaks out above or below a lower trend line. It's safer on that lower time frame. This is much more safer. So in this case, your final confirmation will be price breaking out above this smaller trend line, RSI above 50, possibly MACD above 0. It's not compulsory, but if your MACD can cross above 0, it's an added confirmation. So that's how you confirm your entry on a smaller time frame. I hope that answered the question, Mavi. Yes, for a buy, RSI must be above 50 for a buy. For a sell, RSI must be below 50. In your entry time frame, which in this case is 1 hour, yeah, you need to confirm that. You're welcome. Any other question? For the person asking about gold, this is actually not an analysis class, but because we're dealing with support and resistance, I will oblige you. Now look at gold on the daily time frame. I said yesterday price was trading around a resistance level on the daily time frame. So we can go down to 1 hour. Price is testing the resistance on the daily time frame. At resistance, we're only looking for one thing, an opportunity to sell. Like I said, please take notes. I did not say once price is resistance, sell. I never said that. You need an entry strategy. I've moved down to 1 hour. In this instance, I will draw my trend line again, where I want to capture a breakout to the downside. So if price comes downwards and breaks out below this lower trend line downwards, that is when I'll take a sell. If a new candle opens below the lower trend line and with my confirmation of RSI below 50 and possibly MACD below 0, that is when I'll trigger a sell on gold. For now, we can't do anything. We just watch. So that answer is for the person asking about gold. Yes, I just explained that now. Abdul's data or data. Pardon me for that. All right. Bobby, trend line support and resistance confirmation before entering. I've explained it. You are checking for your support and resistance on a higher time frame. What we're doing is called multi-time frame analysis. We check for trend on the higher time frame. We look for entry on the lower time frame. So for example, if you're checking your trend on the daily time frame, then you can look out for your entry on 1 hour time frame. Now, I taught you two things here: support and resistance, either as a horizontal line or on a trend line. Now you don't need, though there's a strategy where you can combine both, the support and resistance and trend line, but I'm not teaching that today. So you can look for just one for now so that we don't complicate matters. You look at, when you see a chart, look out for support or resistance on the horizontal. If not available on the horizontal, look out if there is a trend line that can give you the same. So that is the essence of this class, one step, at a time. In a subsequent class, I may now teach you a strategy where you can combine both support and resistance, together at the same time to give you a high probability trading signal. Sometime very soon, we're going to do that. So one step at a time, because I know there are a lot of beginners say you can't put everything together so that you don't confuse some of them. All right. Can I enter with 5 minutes after getting trained with it? If it works for you, just make sure you get your now. If you're going to be entering with 5 minutes, I would rather advise you look out for your support and resistance on 4 hour because 5 minutes is it's too far away from daily time frame. So if your entry is going to be on 5 minutes, then look out for your support and resistance or the trend line on the 4 hour. That should work better. That's what Bankole Coyote. I hope that answered the question. All right. So the link to the recorded version of this video will be dropped on all your groups. Make sure you watch it over and over again. And most importantly, start practicing these things. This is what we do at PU Prime. This is how we trade. We just give you insight into what we do, how we trade, how we analyze, how we generate signals. And I tell you, it's quality education you're getting for free. Let me put it that way. So we're going to end this training session right here. We'll see again some other time. Bye.